Good morning students. In previous class we have ended the class with Ampere's circuital law. Sometimes this is also called as Ampere's loop law. So what is Ampere's loop law? Ampere's loop law is we use it to find the magnetic field. We have two laws to find the magnetic field. One law is Biot-Savart law. We can use the Biot-Savart law to find the magnetic field due to various charge distribution. Similarly, if the situation is very difficult and integration in that problem is difficult, we can use Ampere's circuital law to find the magnetic field due to that charge distribution. So, the Ampere's circuital law simply says that the closed integration of magnetic field over a path will be equals to mu naught into I in, where I in is the current inside that loop, B is the magnetic field. Magnetic field here is due to all the currents, while when you are writing the current you just need to take which is inside the loop. What we mean by this total magnetic field and what is the current inside the loop, we will see when we do the example or application of Ampere's circuital law. So, next heading is application of Ampere's circuital law. We are going to use Ampere's circuital law to find the magnetic field due to a wire again. Then we are going to find the magnetic field due to a solenoid, and finally we are going to use Ampere's circuital law to find the magnetic field due to a toroid. So, the first heading will be magnetic field due to current carrying infinite wire. Again, if you remember in the previous class, I told you that you can use Ampere's circuital law to find the magnetic field due to any charge distribution, but it is easier to find when the charge distribution is symmetric. So, here we are seeing it for an infinite wire. You can use Ampere's circuital law to find the magnetic field due to a finite wire also, but in that case the other things will be difficult. So, we just directly find the magnetic field due to current carrying wire which is infinite. So, basically you have a wire which is infinite in the length and current in the wire is I. You want to find magnetic field at a distance A from the wire. So, if I see the wire from the top, you will see the current is coming out. So, this is the wire and this is the direction of the current. So, here current is coming out and I want to find magnetic field at this point due to this current carrying wire. This wire, remember, it is infinite wire. So, here also to find the magnetic field at this point, the process will be similar as we have used this in the Gauss's law. So, first we find the direction of magnetic field. I told you to find the direction of magnetic field due to a current carrying straight wire, you can use right hand palm rule. So, according to right hand palm rule, if I keep my thumb in the direction of the current and fingers in the direction of the point, the direction of palm will give me the direction of magnetic field. So, here direction of magnetic field will be upward direction. So, here this is the direction of B. Similarly, if I take a point here, the direction of magnetic field will be in this direction, here the magnetic field will be in the downward direction, and here the magnetic field will be in this direction. If you remember the direction of magnetic field lines due to a current carrying wire. Now, we have to make a closed loop. Remember in Gauss's law we used to construct a closed surface. Here we need to create a closed loop. So, I am going to construct a circle around it. So, this is our current carrying wire. This is our current carrying wire. To find the magnetic field due to this current carrying wire using Ampere's circuital law, first we have to construct a closed loop. So, I have construct a closed loop. We are going to call this as Ampere loop. Now, Ampere's law simply says that closed integration over B dot dl will be equals to mu naught into I in. So, here the direction of magnetic field will be along this direction, here along this direction, So, these are the direction of magnetic field. Next thing, I have to find this small element. So what I will do is I will consider a very small element here. Length of this one will be dl, direction I am assuming as the current. So here this is the dl. Similarly, here I can also assume a very small element, here also and here also. So you will see that at every point dl and magnetic field both are in the same direction. So this integration I can simply write b dl cos theta. Here theta will be the angle between magnetic field and this current element, sorry, this element. So angle between them is 0, so I can write this thing as b dl cos theta is equals to mu naught into I in the total integration. Now as the angle between b and dl is 0, so cos theta will be 1, so I can write this thing, total integration b dl is equals to mu naught into I in. Now I in is the total current inside the loop. So inside the loop, if you see, there is only one current which is coming out. So I can write this is my total current which is inside the loop. So here this will be I. Now I have to find this integration. To find this integration, I can see that this b is constant at everywhere, because this point is symmetric, sorry, all the points are symmetric on this loop. So the magnitude wise this b will be constant. So I can take it out of the integration and I will be left with closed integration of dl, which is equals to mu naught into I. Now the closed integration, this dl will be this length plus this length and so on. If you add all of these elements, you will get this total integration dl, which will be equals to 2 pi into a, the perimeter of the circle. So I can write this integration as 2 pi a, which is equals to mu naught I. From here the magnetic field will be mu naught I divided by 2 pi a. And if you remember the formula for magnetic field due to an infinite wire, this was the formula due to a magnetic field due to infinite wire, mu naught I divided by 2 pi a. So we have found out the magnetic field due to an infinite wire using Ampere circuital law as well as Biot-Savart law, and from both the laws we are getting the same answer for magnetic field due to infinite wire. So next we are going to find out the magnetic field due to a solenoid. So second application is so before we go into what is the magnetic field due to solenoid, first let us see how the solenoid is constructed and some parameter about the solenoid. So basically this kind of a setup is called as solenoid. So here you have a wire and this wire is going like this over a cylinder. So just assume like a spring, in that spring the wire are very close to each other. I have drawn them far apart, but they are very close to each other. So here this wire is like this. So here the current will be going like this. So current will go and come back like this. So here the current will be like this. So basically this is the current in the solenoid. Now as you can see, this side of the solenoid is a circular. So here this will be the radius of the solenoid. So current in the solenoid is I, radius of the solenoid is R. Similarly, the length of the solenoid I am assuming capital L. And you can see here there are large number of turns. So I am assuming total number of turns are capital N. So here in this solenoid, current is I, radius of the solenoid is R, length of the solenoid is capital L, and total number of turns in the solenoid is capital N. Now I can define a quantity which is called as number of turns per unit length. So number of turns per unit length will be the total number of turns divided by the total length of the solenoid, which is N by L. So this is the number density, or you can say number of turns per unit length of the solenoid, which is N by L. Remember, small n is the number of turns per unit length, while the capital N is the total number of turns in the solenoid. Now next thing is, you have to remember, here we are assuming the length of the solenoid is very greater than radius of the solenoid. So in the length the solenoid is very large, but the size of this radius or this pipe is very small. So this kind of solenoid where the length is very large than the radius, we call this solenoid as ideal solenoid. So what will be a non-ideal solenoid? Where the non-ideal solenoid will be where length and radius of the solenoid are comparable to each other. So here we are going to talk only about the ideal solenoid. So if they don't mention anything, you have to always assume length of the solenoid is very larger than the radius of the solenoid. So these are the parameters which you have to remember about the solenoid. Now we are going to find out the magnetic field due to solenoid using the Ampere's circuital law. Now before we start these things, now you have to imagine this thing here. If I see the current is going up, and from here, if you see from this point the current is coming out, and at this point current is going in. So if I cut the solenoid into half like this, you will see some structure like this. So this is the cylinder of the solenoid, and there is a wire here which is like this. So actually I am seeing the cross section of the solenoid like this. So you will see that from this the current is coming out, and at this point wire current is going in. So this will be cross. So here all the points will be current is going in. Sorry. So if you imagine the solenoid, here on all the turn which are at the top, the current is coming out, and here the current is going in. So before using the Ampere's circuital law, let's find out the direction of magnetic field at this point, which is outside the solenoid, which is again outside the solenoid, and which is inside the solenoid. Now if I want to find the direction of magnetic field at this point, I can use right hand thumb rule, right hand palm rule or right hand thumb rule. So I will keep my thumb in the direction of the current, fingers towards the point. So due to this wire, magnetic field will be in this direction. Similarly, due to all these points, the magnetic field will be in this direction, so it will add up. So due to all these wires, the direction of magnetic field is this. Similarly, due to this, the current is going in, the point is here, so I can say the direction of magnetic field due to these wires will be in the opposite direction. So if you see, magnitude of this one and this one is same, but the direction is opposite, so here total magnetic field will be 0. Similarly, at this point, if you find the magnetic field due to this point, it will be in that in this direction, and due to this one it will be in that direction. So here also the magnetic field will be 0. So outside the ideal solenoid, remember the solenoid we are assuming ideal. Outside the ideal solenoid, magnetic field is 0. So we don't need to find the magnetic field here, we have to just find the magnetic field inside the solenoid. Now to find the direction of magnetic field inside the solenoid, let's see what is the direction of magnetic field. Now due to this point, due to this wire inside the solenoid, the direction of magnetic field will be in that direction. And due to this wire, the current is coming out and point is here. So if I keep my thumb in the direction of the current and my fingers in the direction of the magnetic point, I will see that magnetic field is in that direction. So here, due to all these wire as well as all these wire, direction of magnetic field is same, so total magnetic field will be in this direction. So I can say magnetic field will be in this direction. And it will be uniform because it will add up due to all of them and it will be same in the direction, same will be the magnitude. So the total magnetic field inside the solenoid will be uniform. So here I have drawn the direction of magnetic field. Remember, this is a cross section of the solenoid. Now let's find out the magnetic field here using Ampere's circuital law. Ampere's circuital law says construct a closed loop, find out this integration, it will be equals to mu naught into I in. So here what I am going to do is I am going to construct a loop like this, which is will be rectangle in size. You can construct any loop, but here if you construct this loop, it will be helpful. Remember, the loop and closed surface in case of Gauss's law depends on the situation. It should be symmetric around the charge distribution or current distribution. So here the appropriate loop will be a rectangle, and here I am going to assume the direction of dl as same as the magnetic field. So here direction of dl will be this, here this and this and this. So this is my closed loop, this is the direction of magnetic field. So I have to do the integration of magnetic field over this loop. Now here suppose this point is A, this is B, this is C and this is C and this is D. Now I can divide this whole loop into 4 parts from A to B, B to C, C to D and D to E. So I can write this total integration as integration over AB B dot dl plus integration BC over dl plus integration CD plus DE. This will be equals to mu naught into I in. Now I have to find the total current inside this one. So what I am going to do, I am going to assume this length of the solenoid is smaller. This length of the rectangle is smaller. So here the length of this one is L, small l, and you can say here the total number of turns. Total number of turns can be written as N into L. So here I can write number of turns inside this loop will be N into L. So here 1, 2, 3, if you count the number of wires, the number of wires will come out to be N into L, and in each of the wire the current is I. So I can write this thing as total current inside will be total number of turns into current in each of the turns. So total current will be N L I. So this I can write mu naught N L into I. So again this integration can be broken into 4 parts. Integration over A to B, from B to C, C to D and D to A, which will be equals to mu naught into I in. I in is the total current inside the loop. So total current inside this loop will be count all the wires which is inside the loop, which can be written as total number density into length of the loop. So here this is the small l. So total current will be NL into I. So here the total current is NL into I. Now, so this integration you can see direction of magnetic field and direction of dl is same. So this can be simply written as B into L. So I can write this part as plus, here you will see that dl is in this direction and magnetic field is in that direction. So here angle between B and dl at every point is 90 degrees. So this integration will be 0. Similarly here magnetic field is 0. So again this integration over C to D will be 0. And similarly from D to A also it will be 0. This will be equals to mu naught into Ni. So from here you will see that B will cancel each other out. So B will be so the magnetic field inside a ideal solenoid can be written as mu naught Ni. Here remember N is the total number of turns per unit length, not the capital N. It's not number of turns. Number of turns is capital N. Number of turns per unit length is small n. So remember this formula and remember this part of the solenoid. So this parameter is not the total number of turns. This is number of turns per unit length. So this is the magnetic field due to a solenoid inside the solenoid which is ideal. And remember the direction of magnetic field due to all of them is in this direction, and magnitude is mu naught n into I, which is constant throughout. So this is a uniform magnetic field. So if you want to produce uniform magnetic field, you can use a solenoid. And the last application of Ampere's circuital law is magnetic field due to a toroid. Again, now I told you that if you join both the end, you take the solenoid and join both the end of the solenoid, it will be a toroid. So a toroid, this kind of setup is called as a toroid, where the wires are rounded up on a cylinder, a pipe like this, which is circular in nature. So here you have just made a turns like this. Here again, total number of turns here is capital N. Capital N is the total number of turns. And as this is nothing but a solenoid, so here you can say magnetic field will be 0, here also the magnetic field will be 0. We have to just find the magnetic field inside this part of the toroid. Now, total number of turns is this. I can write the length of the solenoid. Here, if you start from here to here, you can say this inner radius of toroid is R1 and outer radius of toroid I am going to assume R2. So I can write mean length of this can be written as 2 pi into Rm, where Rm can be written as R1 plus R2 divided by 2. Here if you see, this part has a length 2 pi R1 and the outer part will have a length of 2 pi R2. So we cannot say it has a definite length. So we are going to take the average length of the toroid, which is R1 plus R2 divided by 2. So we are just going to take the average of this. So the length of the average length of the toroid can be written as 2 pi Rn. Now, as you know, this is just a solenoid. So due to a solenoid, the magnetic field can be written as mu naught n into I, where n is the number of turns divided by the length. So here I can write n can be written as number of turns divided by the length. The number of turns is n divided by the total length is 2 pi Rm into I. So again, the magnetic field due to a toroid can be written as mu naught n into I divided by 2 pi Rm. Here Rm, remember, it is the mean radius of the solenoid toroid. Now in the exam they just give you one radius, then Rm is the radius given. If they give you the inner radius and outer radius of the toroid, then you can find Rm using R1 plus R2 divided by 2. So this is the formula for magnetic field due to a toroid. You don't need to go through the process, because just now we have done the magnetic field due to a solenoid. The same process, if you apply, you will get this formula. And in your HSC syllabus, you just need, if it is there, you have to just remember the derivation. In the NEET exam, you just need to remember the formula. They are not going to ask you the derivation for either solenoid or for a toroid. You just need to remember the formula for magnetic field due to a solenoid, due to a toroid. Both of them are same, just the number of n is changing. In the solenoid, small n is total number of turns divided by the length. Their length will be given. Here the radius of the toroid will be given. So from that it can be written as n divided by 2 pi Rm. Because at the end of the day, toroid is nothing but a solenoid whose ends are joined with each other. So now we have seen the magnetic field due to a straight wire. In that we have done all these special cases. Then we have found out the magnetic field due to a ring on the axis of the ring and at the center of the ring. Then we have found out the magnetic field due to a circular arc. Then we have found out the magnetic field due to a solenoid, and finally we have found out the magnetic field due to a toroid. Now the only last final thing which you have to find is magnetic field due to a moving charge, because you know at the end of the day moving charge is nothing but moving charge is nothing but a current. So we are going to find the magnetic field due to a moving charge. So our next heading will be magnetic field due to a moving charge. Now if you remember, to find the magnetic field due to a current carrying wire, we assume a very small current element which is dl, and due to this dl at a point which is at r distance from this current element, the small magnetic field can be written as mu naught I dl cross r vector divided by 4 pi r cube. So now we have a charge q which is moving in this direction with velocity v. So the charge is given and it is moving in this direction with velocity v, and from this charge at a distance r I want to find the magnetic field. Now I can say this is a moving charge, so this will be equals to current. In dt time this charge is going to cover a distance of, suppose let us say dl. So I can say dl will be equals to v dt. As you can see, the charge is moving with constant velocity, so in dt time it is going to cover a distance dl which will be equals to v into dt. Similarly, when the charge moves from here to here, it is taking time dt, so I can write current as q into dt. So basically from here I can write I dl is nothing but q into v vector. If you multiply these two, you will get I into dl, which will be dt will cancel out, this will be q into v vector. So I can replace I into dl with q into v vector. So I am going to replace this part with this. So the magnetic field due to a moving charge q with velocity v can be written as mu naught q v cross r divided by 4 pi r cube. Now as you can see, this is the position vector form. Here r vector is the position of the point with respect to the charge, and v is the velocity of the charge. So if you want to find the direction of the magnetic field, you can use the cross product rule, where you keep your fingers in the direction of v, curl it towards the r, thumb will give you the direction of magnetic field. Or you can use right hand palm rule. In right hand palm rule, you will keep your thumb in the direction of velocity and fingers towards the point. This will give you the magnetic field direction due to a moving charge. So moving charge magnetic field formula is this. So next heading will be magnetic field due to a revolving charge. So remember, this is the formula this is the formula for magnetic field due to a moving charge with the velocity v. Suppose there is a charge q and it is moving in a circle and it is doing uniform circular motion, so speed of the charge is v. And we have to find the magnetic field at the center of the circle, and radius of the circle is capital R. Again we are finding the magnetic field due to a revolving charge. A charge is moving on a circle with speed v. So you can say the magnitude of velocity is constant but direction is changing, and you want to find the magnetic field at the center of this. So as you know, the magnetic field can be written as mu no. So, if you see here, the direction of velocity will be in this direction and the position vector of the point will be this. So, you can see that the angle between V and R is in the V and R is 90 degrees. So, the magnetic field can be written as mu naught into q V R sin theta, or here the position vector will be capital R sin theta divided by 4 pi capital R cube. Here the position vector can be written as R vector. So, this position vector will be R. So, mu naught q into V R sin theta, which will be V R sin theta. Here you can say the angle between velocity and this position vector is 90 degrees. So, this will be 1. So, from here you can write magnetic field will be mu naught q V divided by 4 pi R square. So, this is the magnetic field due to a revolving charge at the center of the circle. So, you have to remember this formula. This formula can be used in the chapter which you are going to study in atomic structure. In atomic structure, the electron is revolving around the nucleus. So, you have to find the magnetic field at the center, which is at the nucleus. So, this is the formula for magnetic field due to a moving charge or a revolving charge in a circle. So, with this we are going to stop today's class. So, in the next class we are going to start the another section of this chapter, which is magnetic force. So, first we are going to find the magnetic force on a moving charge and we are going to proceed further. So, till now we have just talked about the magnetic field. Only difficult part in magnetic field is the direction, how to find the direction of magnetic field. For that I have told you the trick, what should be the direction of magnetic field due to a straight wire and what should be the direction of magnetic field due to a revolving current, a current which is on a curved path. Similarly, you can use the same principle here in the direction of a moving charge. So, in the next class we are going to start magnetic force on a moving charge. With this I will stop and see you in the next class. Thank you.